Okay, so at this point we've done a few knit stitches, we've done a few purl stitches. I want to go over what it might look like, or what it does look like, for a given knit or purl stitch. We've covered a little bit about, how the knit stitch gives you the smooth side on the front side of it and a bumpy side on the back. But when we have combined knit and purl stitches, I want you to notice the difference on how they look when they've been worked. Here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 knit stitches. See how there's no bump along there? And then here's 2 purl stitches. You've got your little purl bumpies. And then 2 smooth knit stitches, 2 more purl bumpies, and another knit stitch. You really need to be able to look at your knitting to tell and determine what you've done in your row. If you're going along there reading instructions and it's got knit 5, purl 1, knit 2, purl 10, I mean, you're going to have to be able to look back and see if you've made a mistake. A lot of times patterns will use these little purl bumpies to form a picture of some kind, maybe a heart or an animal or something like that, and if you get a purl in the wrong place, it's going to throw your picture off. So you've got to be able to tell where your purl bumpies are, recognize those, and your knit smoothies, where they're at, and keep up with your pattern that way. It's very, very important not to just be blindly knitting along and not be aware of what's going on in your knitting and how each stitch affects the knitting and what each stitch looks like. You need to be able to go back and look at it and determine what's what. Because if you get lost in a row or a round, you need to be able to go back and figure it all out. Now, one of the pattern stitches that you can make with knit and purl is ribbing. You can knit 1, purl 1, knit 2, purl 2, or any combination thereof. Knit 1, purl 1 is a standard ribbing at the cuff of a sweater and at the bottom opening of a sweater. Knit 2, purl 2, it's a little more, it draws up a little more, it seems to be more stretchy, but I'll go ahead and knit up a little bit of that and show you what some of those things look like so that you can just kind of have a reference for that at this point. Okay, as promised, I worked up just a tiny few rows of knit 1, purl 1 ribbing. You can see knit stitches here, knit stitches here with purl stitches in between. If you notice, the knit stitch, it has the smooth V here stacked on top of one another. Each one of these is a knit stitch. Looks like there's 3 rows there. 1, 2, 3, and then the little purl bumps down in between. So when you do knit 1, purl 1, you knit the knits and you purl the purls. So this is a knit stitch, this is a purl, so you knit this stitch, purl this one, knit this one, purl this one, knit this one, purl this one. Now if I turn this over, this is a knit stitch here. If we turn it over on the back side, you can see that that's the bumpy side. So it's got a purl bump on the back and it's a smooth knit on the front. And then this one, if we turned it over, that's the knit there on that side. If you turn it back over, you see that that's the purl side. So when you knit across here, you knit and purl across each one of these stitches, and then you turn this around, you'll do the same thing. You'll be down here And you'll still knit the knits and purl the purls as they look to you on this side. Knit this stitch, purl this stitch, knit this stitch, purl this stitch. Okay, this is an example of knit 2, purl 2 ribbing. The premise is exactly the same as knit 1, purl 1, but obviously you knit 2, then you purl 2. And if you'll notice that there's 2 knit stitches stacked on top of one another, and then here we have our purl stitches stacked on top of one another. There's 2 side by side, and then knit, knit, purl, purl.